Well, good Tuesday morning, everybody. It is the 20th of April today, and I forgot to mention yesterday was my 6th anniversary here at Woodlawn. I was so focused on getting done so I could get to that funeral, which went very well. A little chilly out at the cemetery, though, but I was so focused on that I forgot to mention that. So I thank you all here at Woodlawn for letting Gail and I be with you so far for 6 years. We hope many more. Today we're going to jump into the 12th chapter of the book of Acts, and we're going to look at the first 5 verses. There's some interesting things that go on here, and it's kind of interesting that how much is or isn't made of it all. And I hope I'm going. My feed seems a little strange today. It's not that Facebook must have changed the way this picture looks. Any rate, let's just jump right into it. Well, first of all, we'll backtrack. We left off yesterday with talking about the church in Antioch, and we left off that they sent Barnabas and Paul, to go and talk to the church there. And so now we are going to have what they call a scene change. In the old westerns, that would say, meanwhile, back at the ranch. And the back at the ranch would be back in Jerusalem, because that's where we're going to go back to today. So with that, let's look at verses 1 to 5 in chapter 12. Excuse me, most of my nose is tickling. In the book of Acts, chapter 12, 1 to 5. About that time, King Herod laid violent hands upon some who belonged to the church. He had James, the brother of John, killed with a sword. After he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter also. This was during the festival of Unleavened Bread. When he had seized him, he put him in prison and handed him over to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, intending to bring him out to the people after the Passover. While Peter was kept in prison, the church prayed fervently to God for him. Okay. Here we suddenly have not only a scene change, but a persecution change. Before, we have been dealing with persecution by the Jewish officials. Now, all of a sudden, this is the government. Herod is here. My screen is dark today, too. I'm not sure what's going on with that. We are having Herod is suddenly persecuting them. Now, as to get ourselves onto a timeline, it's believed that this is around 12 years after the crucifixion of Christ. So this puts us somewhere around the year 45, give take, AD. So that's approximately where we're at, the early 40s maybe. We don't really know for sure exactly. Maybe 42, even if you're believing that Jesus was crucified in the year 30. So we don't know exactly for sure, but that's roughly where we are at. We're at least 30 some years away from any of the Gospels being written, probably closer to 35. 40 years at least away from the synoptics being written, for Matthew and Luke. My brain's freezing up. Matthew and Luke being written, probably even maybe 45 years away from the Gospel of John being written. None of the letters of James of Paul would be circulating. However, the letter written by James and Jude, very well may, if they were in fact written by James and Jude, the brothers of Jesus, those very well may be in circulation as well. My phone is slipping today, too. What's weird today? The world seems to be malfunctioning for me all of a sudden. At any rate, so that's what's going on here. As we lead into this, again, we have all of a sudden Herod pops back on the scene, and this is a different Herod. This is son. He's laid violent hands, so it's not just like he's mildly persecuting the church. It's a violent persecution. And in fact, we have one of the most stunning verses in the entirety of the Bible for the way it just glosses over something that is a major, major, major thing. We have verse 2. He had James, the brother of John, killed with the sword. That's all it says about John. John is one of not just any old, or James rather. That's John's brother James. That's one of the very first disciples brought on board. He's one of the very first recruits, so to say, with John. He's the inner circle. He's part of the inner circle. Remember the transfiguration and all. James, the brother of John, is there. All of these things. He is a big deal. And all we say about him is he was killed with the sword. That's really stunning in its brevity. But it would have been a major thing to the church. That would have shaken them to their core. They would have been very, very, very distraught about this. So it is it very much makes one scratch one's head why that is all there is about this. And it's a big deal. They would have all been extraordinarily afraid. And on top of that, when Herod sees that the Jewish leaders apparently are so very happy about getting rid of one of the troublemakers, he says, well, we'll get rid of we got rid of one of the big ones. Now I think that James the Just, and James the Just keeps going until the year 67, so he goes 25 years, maybe even as much as that, past this time, 20 some, easily, before he's martyred by a high priest. When he sees that this pleases him, well, we'll go with another big dog. We'll arrest Peter and we'll get rid of that guy too. And one wonders what would have happened to the Christian faith had Herod been successful in this attempt, but it wasn't meant to be. So he has him arrested, and he doesn't have him just put casually into prison. It says there that he was handed over to 4 squads of soldiers. Now, I don't know the number of people in a squad of soldiers at that time, but it's more than a couple. So, you've got more than 8 or 10 people guarding Peter in prison. And that's important to remember as we come to tomorrow and we talk about what happens next, the rest of the story as we go. But today we're just dealing with him there. So they are going to, he's going to bring him out as a spectacle after Passover. It's kind of, there is a comparison there, or a parallel there to what went on with Jesus, though. But he's not going to bring him out until after the Sabbath, apparently. At any rate, but while this is going on, when all hope seems to be lost, they just lost James, boom, and now they've arrested Peter. Can you imagine how dark the world seemed? Maybe that's the reason why my screen is dark. Maybe it's not dark to you all, but my screen is very dark today, and I have the power up high, so my phone was being wonky last night. I hope it doesn't mean my phone's going to be dying on me. That would not be good. I like this phone. At any rate, how dark things are, how dismal things are, how uncertain things are. It seems that nothing, absolutely nothing, is going right. Everything is falling apart at this point in time, and they look at this, and can you imagine the despair, especially of those that are in Jerusalem? The people in the outer part of the region and the other churches likely didn't know about it right away. They would have found out soon enough, but in Jerusalem, for the believers in Jerusalem, this persecution, not only just the Jewish leaders persecuting, now the government is after us again. And now they have killed James, and now looks like they're going to kill Peter. Well, what do? They go to prayer, and they are fervent in their prayer. They are deep, deep into prayer, and heartfelt. Fervent meaning that they are not only going at it with great vigor, but that it is heartfelt. It is deep to their very core. So that is the way we want to pray, because there's going to be a miracle, or going to be quite a miracle that's going to be coming about. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But don't give up. No matter where you find yourself, no matter how dismal the world looks, how bad things seem to be going, just keep praying. So with that, I'm going to let you go till tomorrow. Go back to praying. The world needs a lot more prayer. So be a blessing to someone today, and we will see you tomorrow. And thank you, Herb, for letting me know that the picture looks fine. So God bless, and we'll see you in the morning. Take care.